Hello and welcome to From Market to Table. I'm Sarah Graham.
And I'm Kathy Willis. Buenos dias. I'm County Market's Scratch Baker.
We are doing, as Kathy gave you just a little bit of a clue, a Mexican themed show today.
That's right.
So we're very excited to do this for you, and I'm going to start us off with a Queso Blanco sauce. So that's a white cheese sauce, and this is something that you might see poured over enchiladas or just, you know, eat it with chips, with tortilla chips, for dip. So let's get that started. I'm actually going to double this recipe today because it just doesn't quite make enough. I feel like you can never get enough of this. I'm going to get my burner started. And this is super easy. You're just going to pour everything in. So the recipe calls for a Monterey Jack cheese, and I found this on delish.com. And it calls for Monterey Jack cheese, but I actually found this 4-cheese Mexican one that has Monterey Jack cheddar, queso quesadilla, and asadero natural cheeses. So I thought that would be a fun one to use. And the last time I made this, I used this and it was really good. All right, and then, so 2 cups of cheese, and then these little diced green chilies, 4 ounces. So you use the whole can of that.
Those chilies smell
every
so
last
good.
Little bit of those. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, then a half a cup of heavy cream. Two teaspoons of ground cumin, which those of you who cook, who do Mexican or you have some too. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna run out here. Maybe
you might get it.
Well, I need some for my next recipe though too, so I am gonna have to steal some.
Okay.
Yeah, I do need more. Thank you. Can never have too much of this stuff.
Use it in so many different things.
Yes. And if you don't have enough, you can tell. You can tell something is missing. All right, some sea salt, freshly ground black pepper, and about 6 garlic cloves. So if you like to cheat like me and use it out of the jar, it's a half of a teaspoon is about a clove of garlic. So I guess we could have done 3 teaspoons, huh?
Yeah, that's okay. Right. You can count to 6.
Sarah likes to make it difficult occasionally. I think I can count to 6. Was that 6? I was talking, so now I don't know. It's okay.
I think it was 6.
I think so too. All right, so that's all the ingredients, and all we are going to do is stir this all up. Turn my burner up a little bit. And just keep stirring this the whole time. You don't want anything to scald onto the bottom of the pan. Burnt cheese does not taste good in a queso dip. This is a recipe that I have been trying to find a good one for a couple of years. We go down to Florida about every Christmas, and there's a Mexican restaurant down there that just has this delicious queso dip, and my whole family loves it, and we're like, we need to find a recipe for this, and I feel like this is about as close as we could possibly get.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Smells really good. You can smell that cumin and those little diced peppers.
Yeah, the green chilies.
The green chilies, thank you. Chilies, not chili peppers. I guess they are peppers. So you'll see we're starting to get...
They're not very spicy at all.
Right, they are. I don't know if hot ones are available, but I only saw mild on the shelf.
Yeah, they do have some that are hot. I saw that for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised.
So as you can see, this just turns into this
Ah, nice.
Luscious, creamy. All right, now we're starting to get a little too hot in there. Here you have this luscious, creamy.
Nice.
It would be awesome to pour over enchiladas or just dip some tortilla chips into. It's a really versatile Mexican recipe, and as you saw, super simple, no prep work, nothing, just buy the ingredients, throw it in, 5 minutes later it's done, and you could make just a huge batch of this for anything, even just a late night snack.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to set this one aside. And the second recipe I'm doing is also from delish.com. And it is a Mexican beef and rice skillet. And if there's one thing I love, it is one skillet meals. If you can do it all in one skillet,
Sure, yeah.
then that's always a time saver. Just clear away my stuff here. And I'm doing this one now because it takes 20 minutes to simmer.
Well, that'd be good because then I could do my cornbread while
Exactly right. So we're going to leave it simmer while Kathy does one of her recipes. So what I started with, it was a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, 1 large onion chopped, and a pound of ground meat. And as you can see, I just browned my ground meat and chopped it all up like you would anytime you're browning the ground meat, and then drain the fat. So the next thing we're going to do, so I just did this ahead of time just to save time on the show. And this is still hot. I just did it right before we started filming. So this isn't something you'd want to leave sit out, obviously. So we're going to push the ground meat and the onions over to one side, and we're going to add a cup of white rice. The first time I did this, I used a long grain, well, this is a long grain white rice too, but this time I'm using a parboiled white rice because the last time the 20 minutes of simmering didn't quite do it. It wasn't quite enough for the rice.
Sure, it needed
the rice
a little bit
was
longer.
still a little bit crispy, and you don't necessarily want crispy rice in your dish. So this time I'm trying a parboiled rice to see if that'll cook up nicely in the 20 minutes. So I'm just sauteing this for a minute to break the grain down a little bit right up against the heat, and that will assist it in cooking in that 20 minutes, because just to simmer it for 20 minutes wouldn't necessarily break the grain down enough. So just take 2 minutes to let this be up against the heat, but stir it around. You don't want to scald it. All right, that looks pretty good. You can start to smell it, so you know that the grain is breaking down a little bit. All right, then we are going to add, the recipe calls for fire roasted tomatoes, but I actually found these that were diced tomatoes with green chilies, so I thought that would be really good. And it calls for a 15-ounce can, and these are 10-ounce cans, so I'm just going to do a can and a half. And then a can of black beans, and these are drained and rinsed. If you remember, we want to get rid of that phytic acid on the beans to get rid of the gassiness that beans can give you when you eat them. And I found these spicy ones, so I thought that would add a nice
add a little more
flavor.
kick.
Yeah, a little more kick to the dish. And then I also got, I can't get my finger down in there. I'll use your spoon. An organic corn. Corn's a really good one to get organic, because if it isn't organic, or if you don't know the grower, you can almost guarantee it's genetically modified. All right, what's next? Green chilies, and this recipe calls for an entire can as well. This is another nice and easy one to alter. If you don't like corn, if you don't like black beans, you can use different beans. You don't have to use the corn. All right, then we are adding, I need your cumin again, please.
Right here.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a tablespoon. Are you gonna have enough? Yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go, thank you. Tablespoon of ground cumin. And a tablespoon of chili powder. This is another one you can alter for less spicy or more spicy. Some sea salt. All right, then we're just gonna stir this up to combine it.
And it looks so nice too.
It does. I always like lots of different colors. So my rice is starting to stick, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Yeah, 3 or more colors in a dish always make it look so pretty. And you have the green chili peppers, the yellow corn, the red tomatoes, the black beans. It's just pretty. All right, so once you feel like everything is pretty well combined, then we are going to add 2 cups of low sodium chicken broth. We added our own sea salt, so that's why we, can use the low sodium. I always prefer to add my own, and I like to use the organic. I thought it was kind of odd that we were using chicken broth in a beef dish, but Kathy and I discussed it and we were like, probably because it's a milder flavor than like a beef broth, and we felt like it would almost taste like a beef stew or something like that, like too much of a beefy flavor that you wouldn't necessarily want in this dish. You really want the corn and the chilies and the tomatoes and the cumin to be the predominant flavor in this dish. So all right, I'm just going to leave this on to simmer for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to cover this, let it simmer, and while that's simmering, Kathy, what are you doing for us today?
Well, I'm making a Mexicana cornbread. And this is also one with a multitude of colors, which makes it really, really nice. So first what we're going to do is get our dry ingredients together. And that calls for 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of yellow cornmeal. And this is 100% whole grain yellow cornmeal. So we mix these two together. And we're just going to we want to make sure we're going to stir everything together to mix it. Then we're going to use 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And a half a teaspoon of salt. You know my half a teaspoon. Now, and also I'll be using the ground cumin, but I'm only using a half a teaspoon. But it certainly does add such a nice flavor to this. You know, you've had cornbread, I'm sure, before, which is very plain. And when I saw this, I thought, oh no, this is one that I would really love. And also what we're going to add is a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. we go. So these are our dry ingredients. And we'll just go ahead and get them all mixed together. Now we can set these aside while we put together all of our wet ingredients. And in our wet ingredients are also going to go all the vegetables and things that we're putting into our Mexican bread. All right. So in this we're going to do 1 egg. And we're just going to beat this slightly. And then to that, we're going to add 1 cup of milk. And I did just measure this out. So I didn't want to spill it on the way out. So 1 cup of milk. And now we can start adding all our different ingredients. I just want to get this mixed up a little bit. All right, so, and to this, now we're going to be adding an avocado, some hot peppers. Now these are the serrano chilies. Serrano is a rather spicy type of pepper. This is a poblano. These are usually the ones that they use when they make chiles rellenos, and they use a milder pepper. So it has a little bit of a bite, but not quite as much. So in this cornbread, you're welcome to use either one, anything that you want. If you want to use the hot one, if you want to use green pepper instead of a hot pepper, that would work also. All right, you know what? Let me go ahead and one of the things that I would do is forget to add the salad oil, and that's only a 1/4 cup of salad oil. So let's get that in there. So now what we're going to do is start working on the peppers. Sarah, what would you rather have? Serrano or poblano?
Which one? The serrano's spicier?
Yes.
Oh, I think I'd want the spicy one.
All right.
Yeah.
So and you certainly can put the seeds in, but that makes quite spicy. It's
Yes.
still pretty.
You get that bite of seed.
Yeah.
Although if you bake it, does it diminish the spiciness of the seed at all with you baking
a little bit.
it?
A little bit.
Yeah, if you ever have a dip or something and you get the seed, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, it's surprising.
Yeah.
There certainly are hotter peppers out there, but I'm going to take most of the membrane out, and you can see it sort of just you can slide through and get the seeds out.
Yeah.
We'll maybe leave a couple seeds, but you can actually taste the pepper even if you're not eating the pepper itself. The cornbread itself is going to have some flavor of the spiciness. All right, so let's get this seeded out. And then all we're going to do is take the ends off. Now, you know, again, I don't think you really want huge pieces when you bite off into them. So we'll just sort of cut them in halves again. So this pepper's actually in quarters to make a little smaller bites. So when you get a bite of this, it's not going to be terrible. So what you need to do is add 2 tablespoons. So if you see that, that's really pretty close to 1 tablespoon. Because it is spicier, you don't have to add both, or you can actually just do part. And actually about 3 of them works out really well. So let me just quarter this. My, look at that, all those seeds. And the other thing is, when you're working with hot peppers, you probably should wear gloves to protect your hands.
Yeah, because if you
have
get something in your eye when you're in the middle of...
I have a very bad habit. I don't wear gloves. I was canning and did, I think, 6 batches of homemade salsa with a lot of jalapenos and habaneros or whatever. And I was fine throughout that whole thing. When I came to do the 7th, I thought I was going to die.
Oh.
My fingers, I could not cool them off. I sat with ice for hours.
Oh my word.
So I know my limit. 6 batches.
6 batches of salsa, that's it.
That's it. That's
no
it.
more. Yeah, I'm not brave enough to use to cut them up without. I mean, I even do jalapenos with gloves on.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I think
yeah.
it's much easier to scoop the membrane and the seeds out with your fingers. Like if you have gloves on, you can just scoop that right out with your fingers.
So the other thing we're going to put in this Mexicana bread is an avocado. When, if they're nice and ripe, you see they sort of just almost peel off with your hands. They'll come right off.
That's a good
So
one.
that's, So what I'm just going to do is slice it. We'll dice it up in sort of smaller pieces. And it says 1 cup. So it actually is the whole avocado. Let's go ahead and carry up my...
Good fat, good fat. We need
Yeah,
that good fat.
it'd be nice. And it just adds such wonderful texture to this cornbread. I don't have your machine.
You need my tool, my avocado tool.
Well, Mexican, I thought, oh, maybe she'll bring it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know. Was that a letdown? I haven't had my blender here in a while either. I'm sure everybody's missing my blender.
Yeah. All right, this side's just not coming off so easy. I would take the time, but you can see if you can also just slice off most of it very
you can
easy.
scoop it out with a spoon too.
Sure.
Hey, whatever works, whatever's easier, whatever works.
Well, the other thing too is with the skin on there, you can actually cut it up inside, dice it up right in the shell, and then scoop it out.
Yeah.
All right. Boys, I'll tell you, sometimes, you want to make something with avocados and you go and they're all so firm and they're going to need a couple of days.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to wait the couple of days. So.
Yeah, sometimes if
I was very lucky.
Avocados, you have to make sure you go a couple days.
Yes.
In advance to get them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you go and they're perfect. It's just.
Yep. And then what we also need is a half a cup of peeled, seeded tomatoes. Now this is a Roma tomato or regular vine tomato. And either one that you want to use is fine. Because we want the skin off, and I'm only doing 1 tomato, instead of boiling the water and scoring it, you score with the next boil of the water and the skin just peels off perfectly. I'm actually going to see about peeling it. I don't think this one peels quite as easy. But as I said, we only need half a cup, and that should be this 1 Roma. Now, Roma tomatoes also have less seeds.
Yeah.
And they're less watery, because you don't want this to be too watery for your bread. Sure.
Right. Ruin the consistency of it.
Yes.
Yeah, Romas are nice, sturdy tomatoes.
Yes,
when
they're
you
hardy
need it
tomato.
to be a firm tomato in your dish. I think there are more flavorful tomatoes, but that's definitely one to use if you need it to stay firm.
Sure. Also, in doing making tomato sauce and canning that, or either homemade pizza sauce or pasta sauce or whatever, the Roman tomatoes will give much better consistency because they do have much less water. Now you see there's also some seeds in here, and along with the seeds is a sort of a real wet consistency for the seeds, and I'm just going to scrape those out because I was going to say this is the exact same thing you would do with this tomato. Once you cut it in half, you can sort of get your fingers in there and pull the seeds out and the water consistency. All right. So then we're just going to dice this one up. I didn't get in the back one. And you can see how colorful this is going to be with bright tomatoes and the avocado. The other thing that we're going to add to this is some onion. We're going to dice and chop up just a 1/4 cup of onion. I know you're saying, is she done chopping yet? Pretty soon. Then we can all get it started and see how Sarah's dinner's coming along.
Yep, it smells good.
Yeah, it does.
Sure.
Okay. And I did have onion chop, but then I ended up using it. So this is a sweet onion, and you can certainly use any type of onion that you want. You could even use a red onion if you wanted in this, and I didn't think of that till it was sort of too late. But I'm just going to slice it thin, and then just chop it from the side. At home I would have a very different knife, but you can certainly take your time and do it with whatever is available.
Or whatever you're comfortable
Sure.
with, too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That makes a good point. And there goes our onion. So we have our chopped onion, our diced avocado, our tomato that's been peeled and seeded and chopped, and our serrano chili. And now what we do is take a 1/2 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. And we're going to all add everything to the wet liquid. And it'll part go in and part not. Okay. And you know, just like in any dish, a little extra cheese is certainly not going to hurt.
I've never heard anyone complain with too much cheese.
No.
It's too much.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all of our wet liquid. So now we take our dry. Just move this down. And we're going to pour the wet into the dry. And then we're going to mix it. And mix it basically till everything's incorporated. We don't want to beat it, but we just want to get it all nicely mixed. So there's still going to be a good texture. How's that coming?
Oh, it's coming.
Oh, it looks really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally take the lid off and stir it since we do need the rice to kind of be steaming. But I'm a little less familiar with this burner than my burners at home. And
Sure.
This burner is just really, really hot, so I didn't want to be burning anything to the bottom of my pan. Just wanted to give it a quick stir, which I normally wouldn't do, but we're doing well. So now I'm going to put the lid on for the rest of the time and just let it be.
All right, now our Mexicana cornbread will actually fit in a 8 or 9 inch square pan. And I'm just going to spray it lightly. like I said, this one is so easy to add or take away with whatever you want. You know, the kind of cheese that you want, the kind of pepper that you want. You know, if you want tomato, if you don't want tomato, you can add or subtract them.
Well, and if you're cooking a Mexican meal, chances are you might have avocados out making
Sure.
guacamole anyway, or you might have tomatoes out making salsa, or...
You're right, you're right.
And I would bet you could even drain a salsa.
And put that
Right, and
absolutely
put that
instead
in
of the
if you,
tomato.
right, instead of chopping everything all up, you could maybe even just, you know, really drain very, very well some salsa and put that in instead of, if you really
Sure.
don't want to chop
Well,
everything up.
You know, like those tomatoes that you didn't add it in there, you could drain those.
Oh, yeah.
So tomatoes and green chilies.
Yeah.
So you don't want, like I said, all the liquid, but drain that out
Yeah.
and add that.
Yeah.
So now what I'm just going to do is sprinkle sliced ripe olives on top of this for a little bit of decoration, and also I think great flavor. It really helps to complement this bread. And then this will go into a 350 degree oven for, or actually it goes in a little higher oven. It goes into a 400 degree, or I would actually turn it down to 375, but a 375 degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And then when it's all done, this is what it looks like.
So beautiful.
And you can actually see, you know, the colors on the side of it, and it actually keeps a nice moist cornbread. It's not that dry, real dry, crumbly.
Yeah. I could, when Kathy first showed me this, I was like, how is the avocado still green? Like, I never imagined that if you baked it, that it would stay green. And so
not,
it's just such a neat thing to
Sure.
see the avocado baked in there and still so bright green. And it's just beautiful and yummy, delicious.
and go very well with your dinner.
Absolutely. Yes. All right.
So we'll get ready to put this one in the oven, and
Okie dokie. Very good.
and you can certainly buy these pre-sliced onions. I mean onions, olives,
Yeah.
which makes it very convenient. I remember for years I used to take the little olives and slice them into 3 pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are a great invention.
Yes, very good. Okay, so this is it for today, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we started off with our Queso Blanco dip, and as you can see, it presents nicely with chips, or like we said, to put it over enchiladas. And then, how are we doing here?
It's looking good.
It is looking pretty good. It still has a little bit more liquid than I'd like it to have, and some of the rice doesn't quite look completely, it's puffed up, and it's still a little bit too white. It turns more translucent when it's really done. So I don't think I'm going to put the cheese on it yet. I'd like to let it finish
cook a little
cooking.
bit longer, sure.
Right, so I'm going to do that off camera, but I will post the finished product on Facebook.
Oh, that's good.
So come and check out the County Market Facebook page, and we will have, I can show you a picture of the finished product once it's done, and we'll also have the recipes on the Facebook page. So we have a ground beef and rice 1 skillet meal, and this was also yummy to like scoop up with chips, but
Sure.
normally you would take a 1.5 cups of cheese and just spread it over the top, and this is one that, especially in such a beautiful skillet, I would just present
on the table.
right in the skillet. You just put the skillet right on the table. So
Sure.
again, literally 1 skillet. You don't even need to plate it onto something else, and you just spoon it out for the family. So it's a perfect one. And then you have your cheesy dip, your white queso dip, and then this really yummy, savory cornbread dish that Kathy made for us today. So we hope you enjoyed this Mexican theme. If you have any other ideas or things you'd like to request that we prepare on the cooking show, give us a shout out on the County Market Facebook page. We'd love to get your comments and your feedback and your suggestions, so please visit us there. And until next time, we'll see you at the market.